Thank you for joining me for the Mark Warsh Show, where we cut through the noise and bring you the news with a little bit of attitude. I'm your host, Mark Warsh, and boy, oh boy, do we have some doozies for you today. Today, we've got the Duchess of Sussex herself, Meghan Markle, reportedly upset over her portrayal on South Park. Now, I don't know about you folks, but if I were married to a prince, the last thing I would be worried about is how I look on a cartoon. But hey, to each their own, but it's not all fun and games today. We've also got some serious political issues to tackle. Joe Biden's surprise visit to Ukraine has got some people scratching their heads. I mean, come on, Joe, we've got train derailments and border issues right here in the good old US of A that need your attention. But hey, if you want to focus on Ukraine, at least bring back some good vodka for us, will you? At the very least, can you make sure to pick up Hunter's paycheck? All that and more coming up on the Mark Warsh Show. So buckle up, Buttercup, and get ready to have some fun. We're about to make the news a whole lot more interesting. Let's discuss the recent events unfolding at Project Veritas. James O'Keefe, the founder of the organization, was put on leave and fired from his position as CEO amidst allegations of financial malfeasance. The board of directors has said that they do not want him to resign and instead are continuing conversations with O'Keefe to try and resolve the internal matters. O'Keefe has accused the board of misrepresenting his expenses and has claimed that they stripped him of all authority and decision-making. It is possible he may be looking to form his own organization. This incident comes at a time when Project Veritas is still dealing with the windfall from its biggest story ever. This raises some questions about the board's motives. Are they attempting to discredit O'Keefe? We'll have to wait and see what happens in the coming weeks. This situation is especially interesting when you consider that O'Keefe is only 3 years older than the constitutionally required age to be elected president. A point worth noting for those who follow both him and Project Veritas. Regardless, it will be fascinating to see how this story develops in the near future. We've got a hot topic to discuss today, and it involves none other than former Vice President Joe Biden. On February 20th, 2023, former Vice President Biden made a surprise visit to Ukraine, and many Americans were not happy about it. They accused him of placing the Ukraine-Russia conflict ahead of more pressing domestic issues, such as the recent toxic train derailment in Ohio and the surge in illegal migration at the southern border. Now, it's no secret that former Vice President Biden has been pledging to fund Ukraine in its current conflict with Russia. The conflict has been ongoing for roughly a year now, and it's no secret that tensions are high. But many on the right have criticized Biden's focus on Ukraine and the more than $109 billion Congress has allocated to the country. They claim that it's at the expense of domestic issues and that Biden should be focusing more on problems closer to home. Supporters of the former vice president's open checkbook policy are confident that the American people are happy to continue to sacrifice their savings and earnings through inflation and misappropriation of tax dollars. Plus, there's another factor to consider. U.S. politicians have a financial interest in supporting Ukraine as well as deterring Russian aggression in the region. It's not just about politics. There are starving politicians in Washington, D.C., and without the obvious money laundering operation that is the entire state of Ukraine, the political class may not even be able to afford someone to go to the grocery store for them. So please have some empathy, as the commission for the big guy is a mere 10%. Are you tired of bland and boring snacks? Do you crave a snack that satisfies your hunger and your need for excitement? Look no further than Nuts by D Scratch flavored nuts. These aren't your ordinary nuts. Scratch is the perfect blend of savory and spicy, sure to satisfy any craving. Go ahead, scratch that itch with the hottest nuts around. Whether you're snacking solo or sharing with friends, Scratch is the perfect addition to any occasion. So why settle for boring snacks when you can experience a snacking sensation like no other? Try Nuts by D Scratch. Flavored nuts today and satisfy your cravings like never before. Use promo code WARSHDs, nuts for 5% off. Welcome to the show, folks. Today we're going to talk about a juicy story that's been making headlines recently. It seems that California Democratic Rep Eric Swalwell has been spending a lot of campaign cash on some pretty extravagant stuff. According to a review of Federal Election Commission records by Fox News Digital, Swalwell spent more on travel and luxury accommodations than even Rep Nancy Pelosi during the last 2 years. That's quite a feat. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty of these expenses. Swalwell's campaign reportedly spent almost $583,000 on travel expenses throughout the 2022 election cycle. That's a pretty staggering number, wouldn't you say? But it gets even more interesting. Apparently, Swalwell's campaign spent thousands at fancy hotels in Paris and Miami, as well as on yachts and other luxury accommodations. Talk about living the high life. In comparison, Pelosi's campaign spent about $298,000 on travel expenses during the same time period. That's a pretty big difference. It's worth noting that the use of campaign funds for personal benefit is generally prohibited, and campaigns must disclose all their expenses to the Federal Election Commission. So, what does this all mean? Well, it's possible that Swalwell could face some consequences if it's found that he used campaign funds for personal benefit. Now, I'm not here to pass judgment, but it's hard to ignore the fact that Swalwell's spending habits are raising some eyebrows. After all, $583,000 is a lot of money, and spending it on luxurious travel and accommodation seems like it could be pushing the boundaries of what's acceptable. Of course, we'll have to wait and see what happens next, but for now, it's definitely a story worth keeping an eye on. All right, folks, we've got some royal drama to discuss today. Specifically, it's all about Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex. Now, in case you've been living under a rock, let me give you a quick rundown on who she is. Meghan Markle is an American actress who married Prince Harry in May of 2018. The couple has since stepped down as senior members of the royal family and moved to California. Now, here's where things get interesting. It seems that Meghan Markle has been upset and overwhelmed by her portrayal in a recent episode of the television show South Park. The episode aired on Wednesday, February 15th, 2023, and it reportedly featured Markle and her husband, Prince Harry, in a less than flattering light. But it's not just Markle who's upset about the episode. Others have criticized it for being too lifelike, an exact one-one replica of her younger self. Of course, South Park has never been one to shy away from controversy. The show is known for its edgy humor and irreverent take on pop culture. But some are saying that this time they went too far, and now is the time for a national discussion on the consequences of deep fakes. Because the performance was so real to most viewers. In the meantime, one thing's for sure, this isn't the last we'll hear about this. South Park has always been a lightning rod for controversy, and it looks like they've struck a nerve with this one. Stay tuned, folks. This story is far from over, and that, my friends, wraps up another episode of the Mark Warsh Show. We hope we've entertained you and given you some food for thought along the way. From Meghan Markle's beef with South Park to Joe Biden's unexpected visit to Ukraine, there's never a dull moment in the world of politics and pop culture. But remember, behind all the headlines and sensational stories, there are real people and real issues at stake. It's important to stay informed and engaged, and we're glad to have played a small part in that tonight. So until next time, stay curious, stay critical, and stay tuned to The Mark Warsh Show for all the latest news and commentary. Thanks for joining us, and have a great day.